just the typical kind of thing, like both of us have been homeowners prior to that, and we bought our own property initially with a view to having it as a bit of an investment as well. So we had a bit of an inkling like that, not anything major, and then Nick's decided, no, this is a great time for us to get into property, and did a lot of research with other competitor firms as well. And we actually met with a couple of other competitive firms, and it just didn't quite feel right. And then when we had the discussion with David about how the property is going to be working, and various properties are going to be working through AllianceCorp, it just allowed us to provide a bit more confidence in that process. And we knew we'd actually have a true coach to be able to get us through from being people that think we know a tiny little bit about property to actually bring that expertise up to speed and to getting us to where we need to be, getting our first investment property and then subsequent properties actually quite soon after.
That's really good. So it was that the knowledge factor that garnered that trust to go with AllianceCorp.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's not just, I suppose, doing the work in terms of finding the properties. It's actually educating you on the process and teaching you about how, property investing works and how to obtain that mindset, which I think was critical, because it's really important that you actually understand what is happening as opposed to just blindly following. And that gave us a lot of faith and trust in the process, because we knew what we were in for, and we understood, what to expect. I suppose just to become a bit more financially free. Obviously using them as multiple income streams. Nothing in life is certain. And we wanted to diversify, just make sure that we're setting ourselves up well for our futures and for retirement.
Yeah. And did you have any fears or hesitations sort of coming into property investment?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a lot of money. You're taking a lot of risks in relation to, I mean, they're calculated risks, but it is scary when you're parting with large sums of money for properties, and obviously putting your faith in the fact that they will perform well for you. It was actually in sort of mid-2020. And we actually bought two quite quickly, and then followed with the third. And earlier this year, we bought the fourth.
Oh, wow. You're moving very fast indeed.
We are.
No, that's really good. That's great. And how would you describe the process with AllianceCorp in terms of obviously working with David? And then did you work with our client services team quite closely? Like, how was that process how did that all go for you?
Look, in terms of the process, I think it is a little bit to get your head around initially. But what made things a little bit more difficult for us was that because of COVID, we were actually separated, with me being in the UK for work and not able to come home, and Mick's being here. So that was an added level of complexity for us. And so I think from that perspective, that's where David was excellent in being able to be flexible in terms of times to be able to accommodate being in the UK, because of course at that period of time there was a 9-hour time difference between the two locations to begin with, which then blew out to 11 as the seasons change. But with that kind of time difference, it also came an opportunity for just pure education, and that's what really I think got us on board with AllianceCorp to begin with. Is really taking us through step by step and understanding it. Both of us work in roles where it's unfortunately the kind of thing where if it's 100%, it's correct, and if it's 99.9% right, then it's completely wrong. And so that sort of also then passes on the level of expectation we have of people that we have to deal with. So poor old David's had us absolutely grill him from one end of the process to the next, and that's where he was able to sort of take us through everything and be able to say, all right, this is what will happen, this is how things are going to happen, these are the additional networks that you'll be able to use in terms of the legal teams, in terms of the financial advice teams and so forth that come with that, and really able to help us set that up.
Yeah, David's probably, to be honest, we were so impressed with David. That's what sold us on AllianceCorp, because of his own experience within property. It's not just a case of him saying, well, this is what you do. He's walk the walk, talk the talk. So we have a lot of faith in his own previous exposure and the work that he's done. And to be honest, he's just so knowledgeable. And so he was the person that really got us sold on moving forward, and also obviously the company itself more broadly, as well as the philosophies around things like the master facility we found very attractive. So yeah.
And I think
That's excellent.
The process as well, of course, you've got the admin team that are fantastic as well. Tiani is a good example, as helped us all the way through.
Taylor.
And Taylor's
Tiani and Taylor, yeah,
recently as well. And it's also one of those things where I think if you look at the whole team, it's that admin team as well that can make or break something, and they seem to be right on top of everything for us. And that just makes our lives quite a lot easier as well, especially the first time we're going through things, being separated by time and distance. We did need people to be able to help us through that process as well. So,
yeah, they just made those in-between moments a lot easier, made it a little bit seamless, saving you having to, liaise with several different parties and people. They're really good like that. They're great.
I think we're still in that phase of development. So, I mean, only one of our properties has actually been built, and we are not yet even in the position to rent it, but hopefully that'll be early next year. So I think for us, it's a little bit too soon to sort of really see an impact. I mean, we definitely have seen large sums of money disappearing from our accounts, but yeah, I think probably a little bit too soon to tell. But I think there's definitely a level of comfort that we have started the process, and I think we're very grateful that we did start the process when we did, given the huge gains that have been had in residential property over the last year. So I think we got in at a really good time.
Definitely.
So I'm really, I'm positive that we will see those gains. And yeah, just looking forward to, I suppose, going through the whole getting them built, renting them out, and getting the process sort of in motion.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I also saw that you invested in our income generator program.
Yeah.
Is that right? Beautiful.
Yes.
So what was your motivation there to invest?
Well, I think we're just in regards to AllianceCorp, you've got so many great tools and support systems. So for us, it was sort of all in, and it just seemed to make sense that if we were signing up to the program, that we'd take advantage of all the different, offers that you have. So yes, we've taken that up, and we also have taken up the wealth portal as well. So
how are you finding that?
Yeah, really good. It's you can get a little bit of obsessive over it, but it is definitely great to have everything in one place.
Yeah.
And it's great.
It's a bit of an eye opener, isn't it? In terms of, how much you're spending, how much you dedicate to, every category.
We're pretty good in terms of knowing sort of the incomings and the outgoings, but I think just having it all in one spot and being able to track everything is definitely helpful. So yeah, I think, as I said, we were all in, and we've been basically using every service that AllianceCorp has to offer.
Beautiful. So will you, with your with the funds generated from the income generator program, will you look to put that towards another property, or have you got, separate plans for that? Or
yeah, I think definitely I'll go towards another property, and we're looking at an established property at the moment. So yes, likely that
a bit about diversification.
Yes. Yeah.
Very
That's
nice. Very nice
for us. Yeah, getting it up and running, but I think, in time, it'd be really great for it to replace our current incomes, or at the very least, supplement it, so we might not have to work, 5 days a week until we're, 70. So I think that's probably just giving us more options from a lifestyle perspective. Do you want to add to that?
No, I totally agree. It's for way down the track, this is also going to be providing for retirement and so forth. And I think, considering different issues such as aging population and so forth, it's going to become more and more likely that retiring early is going to be a bit of a challenge. Even just in the film yesterday, there is noise around the retirement age being bumped up to 68 and then 70 in the near future. And I think that's the thing is, how do you then actually sort of supplement that, as Mick was saying, well into retirement, and that's where it's just going to be around, okay, how do you actually have other sources of income coming in? And for us, that passive income piece is extremely important. I mean, I know people would buy properties and so forth to have capital gain and to be able to enjoy that and sell them off into the future, having had tenancy and various tax bands and so forth pay for them. But I think for us, at least at the moment, it's purely around making sure that is supplemented well into the future. And rental, let's face it, they're not making more land, and therefore it's going to be the same with housing. We've just heard that immigration is going up to 200,000 a year, which is back to levels that have been for quite some time pre-COVID. And as we've seen across the course of the last 20 years with those kind of immigration figures where we're adding 20-25% of our population every 20 years, that's the thing that is really putting a lot of pressure on our housing markets as well. But of course, it means a great opportunity for renting to supplement that income. Bit of a long-winded story there, but yeah.
No. The more information you can give us, the better. It's you guys have obviously really thought about it and long into the future too. So yeah, I take my hat off to you for it.
To go and get some help. That's exactly what we did. And I mean, I think that's been absolutely critical, is make sure that, you are getting the right team around you. And for us, that's been AllianceCorp. And also, I'd like to say AllianceCorp and friends, because basically we've reached out to all of AllianceCorp networks for all of the different facets of the investment journey. So that's probably the advice I'd give anybody is make sure you understand, educate yourself, and get help.
Yeah, I think that's a very sound piece of advice for sure. The education piece is certainly important, like you said. Just following instruction isn't always safe, so it's always good to get become equipped yourself. Well, that's generally all the questions I had for you guys. Was there anything else you wanted to add, or anything else, or was that all good?
No, I think that's all fine from my perspective as well. Yeah. Just to add, I suppose, to your point around getting the right advice and the right team, that's something that I think is quite a challenge. And as much as it's going to sound like a completely drunk AllianceCorp Kool-Aid, that is one of the things that they do bring with them, is that network of everyone. I mean, it's not just about here's the properties, off you go. It's got to be then about, okay, how do you deal with the taxation perspectives? And so we've got those teams around us to be able to help. Because that is a whole different ballgame when you're looking at the various taxes that come with rentals and so forth. To have that, and I think also, sorry, I can hear my phone going off in the background. But that is absolutely vital. Is those networks to make sure you've got those people in place, trust them, and again, it comes back to not just the property aspect, but educate yourselves again around everything that fits into that to make sure that you really are leveraging the properties and so forth and all the other services offered to its absolute fullest.
Yeah, because even with purchasing our own, home that we live in now, even there were issues with how we set it up and pitfalls essentially. So it's not just so it's just that's why it's about educating yourself, making sure you understand all the implications, and get help.
Get help with the right teacher.
Well, at least